Hello, and thanks for joining us for today's roundtable. Callian and Dalhousie University are collaborating on a 3-year research project to study data exhaust from IoT devices to understand how much information a malicious person will be able to access through leaked data and find solutions to mitigate those risks associated with it. My name is Stephanie Crowley with the Canadian Security Magazine team, and I will be your moderator for today's discussion. And I'd love to introduce our panelists today. We have Noor Zinjir Haywood, Alexander Loganov, and Kevin Desnayer. Folks, I'd love for you all to just introduce yourselves and give a brief overview of your role and what you're working on in this project. Kevin, I'll start with you, please.
Hi, I'm Kevin Desnayer. So I'm the director of our cybersecurity government solutions defense at Callian. So my involvement in this project is I'm working with the Dal University to bring the industry requirements and needs and thoughts into the project, and asking the team at Dal University to see what they can do to help us find solutions for those requirements.
Great, thank you. And Noor, please introduce yourself.
My name is Noor Zinjir Haywood. I am a professor and associate in research at Faculty of Computer Science, Dalhousie University. My role in this project is I am the principal investigator from the Dalhousie University team side, and we are working together with Callian, with our team, which involves other professors, postdoctoral fellows, and students on this project together.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for joining us today, Noor. And Alexander, please introduce yourself and your role in this project.
Okay, my name is Alexander Loganov. I'm a postdoctoral researcher at Dalhousie at Faculty of Computer Science. What I'm doing within this project, I use machine learning, and I'm trying to find what kind of information we can extract from the IoT traffic captured somewhere outside of the user's premises, like some outside home office.
So let's get started. We're going to start with Noor on this first question. Can you explain what data exhaust is, please?
Data exhaust is if you like, the footprints and fingerprints that users and machines, the devices, leave on the internet as they interact with other users and with other machines.
Wonderful, thanks. I think that sums that up. But Kevin and Alexander, do you have anything to add to that definition?
No, that was fantastic. And again, it just exactly like she said, it's the information that you leave behind when you're driving your car, when you're using your phone, when you're Googling something. And then we're here to talk today about what's the good and the bad of the use of that data that's left behind.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into some of these examples in everyday lives that contribute to data exhaust. Kevin, maybe I'll start with you on this question, please.
Yeah, so as I just mentioned, like you walk around all day long with your cell phone. There's applications on your cell phone, whether you're looking up to see what restaurant you want to go eat at, whether your device is connecting to somebody else's server for, from a workplace application. You're making travel plans. Fitness applications are a huge leak of data information about yourself. So your health records, your heart rates, where you're running, where you're traveling, all this information is collectible by different data sources that you can leave that exhaust trail in behind.
Perfect. Thank you. Alexander, did you have anything to add to Kevin's answer?
No, I would say this was the perfect information, perfect answer.
Wonderful. And Noor, how about you?
Yeah, this is great, and we can add, as Kevin said, all of the devices, right? So you might be maybe communicating with your fridge, or maybe you have a dryer or washing machine or a coffee maker connected to internet. So we can extrapolate everything Kevin said about the devices to all the smart ones that we use.
There are so many smart and connected devices these days that I'm sure, a data breach can come from anywhere. So it's really important to discuss these things and be aware of all of the risks.
Yeah, and just to And we want to make sure we focus, like we're talking like a data breach is definitely a massive risk because of that information. But there's also organizations that are thinking they're doing it for good. Advertising agencies are using this. We've all had that situation happen where you're talking about shoes and all of a sudden those shoes are showing up in your feeds. Now, maybe if you're buying shoes, that's a good thing that you're getting continued access to it. So there is some good of this happening, but it's just we got to be careful where that information is being used.
Yeah, absolutely. So Callian's purpose is to help the world communicate, innovate, learn, and lead safe and healthy lives. Why is this project important?
I will try. So first of all, my goal in this project is to find out what kind of information can be found in the internet about the user, about IoT devices. And I think it's really important to, let's say, to let users know what's going on behind the scene, because people use all those devices without knowing what kind of information and to what extent is transmitted, to what extent their life is open in the internet when they use all those devices.
Wonderful. Thank you. Noor, did you have anything to add to that about the importance of this project?
All these connected and intelligent devices bring so much convenience to our lives that as human beings, so to speak, we continue to use them and increase our usage of them. And that is in some sense wonderful, but also opens us into the security and privacy style problems. And while these devices make our lives very convenient, at the same time, they do leave the data exhaust. They do leave those fingerprints and footprints, which then maybe causes accidentally us giving away information that we thought would never be given away. So I think from that perspective, we are trying to bring in best practices of how to decide what to use and when to use with our connected devices.
That's great advice, great tips. And Kevin, did you have anything to add on the importance of this project?
Yeah, and again, and Noor Alexander hit the main points there. That again, this IoT world that we're living in, and this how this data is all connected is making our lives much easier. But we are trying to help people make an educated decision on what risks they're willing to take with the use of IoT devices. So we're trying to help because we can make an immediate impact without even really adding technology to people. Is just helping to raise awareness of the risks that are associated to data exhaust, right? So whether the Amazon Alexa is sitting in your home, or whether it's sitting in your office or your boardroom, or watches or phones that are constantly listening to us, there's some risks that we have to take in life, and some risks that we're trying to mitigate, and some that we don't want to take at all. So that's our real goal with this, is that right away we can start to help educate people on what risks they have by using the various IoT devices, both in personal lives and in business.
Absolutely. And I think that leads really nicely into the next question that I have here for you, because research has shown that IoT devices are just blowing up, and we all see that in our day-to-day lives. I mean, myself, I have several. I'm wearing a watch, I've got the Alexa, all of those things. But statistics have shown that these IoT devices are expected to almost double, reaching more than 29 billion by 2030. That's a ton of data here. So with all of this research and the growth, what insights are you hoping to provide to IoT users? And we can go a little bit deeper into this too, because I know we've kind of hit a little bit of a surface level on being safe, but let's explore a little bit more of what you're talking about here. And Kevin, I'll go to you first for that question.
Yeah. So again, a little bit of what we talked about already is this: the first and foremost is we're trying to help people to understand and know the risks, because without knowing it, we won't know what we need to mitigate or what we're willing to accept as is. So that's a big part of it. And this really extends beyond home and personal use. So when we talk about these kind of some of these devices where, you know, your running watch and your music playing devices. We think of our home and, you know, and what we're doing around home, but these are sitting in boardrooms or in office spaces. And now your homes are no longer just, you know, your home. That is becoming boardrooms as well. And they are becoming meeting facilities, healthcare facilities. That's, the IoT world is taking off on helping us lead healthier lives, because there's all these IoT devices sitting in healthcare facilities and medical offices and doctor's office and surgical rooms. But we're going to take the knowledge that we're learning here, and we're hope to expand it out into those industries to see what risks there are from our dependence on IoT, both from it, you know, the risk of that information leaking, but the ability to compromise that information from the data exhaust. So where a doctor may be looking at a report, did somebody else, you know, get intercepted and put bad information into those reports? So it's really endless to see that now that IoT is everywhere. There's a story that's it's public, so we're not hiding anything, where there's a military base out in theater where some of the soldiers were just running with fitness watches, and eventually that people were able to correlate the boundaries of that military base based on the pattern of the people running around the outskirts, because that was the biggest area they had. So that's the main focus that we're trying to get there, is that, you know, we think about it as home and uses, but this is going to extend way beyond that into the defense industry, into, you know, intelligence agency, into the university, into IP. It's really going to affect us all.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great insights. Alexander, did you have anything to add on just kind of all of the data growth and some thoughts that you're hoping to provide users with your research?
Actually, that was pretty full, let's say, description, a very good description. All I can add that we are talking about the information that can be extracted and captured outside of the user's, let's say, home office. So if you feel that you are safe and you feel like there's nothing in your office, nothing in your home that say captures and that tracks you, that's not the case. So we are working with the information we can capture outside, and we can extract a lot of very different information about the user, about behavior, about intentions. It's like that.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. It's far beyond what we think, you know, these devices can capture. It goes way deeper. Noor, did you have anything to add as well?
I think the only other thing I will add is we actually did talk about it, but bringing in back from this perspective, most of the time, as Kevin's example, the real life example, right? People do something while with their IoT devices, and this might be, you know, their fitness when they are running. And the whole idea is measuring how long they run, how much exercise they do, but the data exhaust is actually giving the borders of a certain place, right? So now, you know, imagine the security cameras we have in our, I don't know, businesses, houses, the security locks on the door. What does that give away? While it's also securing us to see the who is accessing, and who is trying to get in. So what fascinates me throughout the research is recognizing these things that maybe surprises everyone while they are using these devices. It never comes to their mind, but actually it gives away a lot of information.
Absolutely. That's such a great point. I think, you know, we don't think about how much more these devices can capture beyond what we are using them for, what their initial kind of principal use is for. So that's really good to mention as well. So this next question is a bit of a two-part question here. So let's talk about the proliferation of IoT devices. With that in mind, what do you anticipate some cyber risks to be? Noor, I'll turn to you for the answer first here.
There were really interesting discoveries we made throughout the research, and some of them is, for example, you have maybe a Google Mini or Amazon Alexa in your house, and you're interacting with these devices. what happens when you don't interact with them? You know, under normal conditions, probably you feel that nothing because you are not interacting with them. But it turns out that there is something happening. And at this point, I'm going to say, Alexander, would you like to come in and kind of give some results, maybe observations, what is happening?
Yes, that was a very interesting finding, and not just ours finding. Other researchers, they confirmed that information as well. For example, during the idle state, when we are not using the device, and let's say device no one suspects, let's say sharing the private information like dryer or washer. Now, those devices continuously transfer some information outside, and we detected that the information goes to various different locations all around the world. It goes to public schools and goes to universities. It goes to countries like Russia, Belarus. It goes to countries like China. You live in Canada, you live in the United States, and you expect that this information stays here. Unfortunately, not. And there are many other findings about data exhaust, about the danger, hidden danger of using all those devices. So it gives us comfort and it makes our life easier. At the same time, it exposes our life to the outer world.
That's so important to remember. Kevin, anything else to add?
Yeah, just sorry, to expand a little bit on what they both talked about already between Nur and Alexander, is we're also looking at potential from a third-party perspective. So all of these end user devices that we're looking at in applications and IoT devices, we've all clicked through the end user license agreement, and probably none of us have actually really gone through and read it. So what are you giving the operators or the owners of the equipment or the manufacturers access to? So we've often found that they're allowed to store and keep all the information that they receive to improve or enhance their algorithms. But at the same time, they've now, you signed off that they can keep your information. And what happens if I'm in a coffee shop on a Zoom call, as we're on here, and somebody else's conversation gets picked up by my device, and now it's recorded and stored by an application that maybe I was okay with and signed off, but somebody else hasn't. So we're starting to try, part of this research will expand into what does that invoke, or what legal causes do people have to not use these devices in public places, or is there? We don't know that, right? So these are some of the things that are expanding on this, because my microphone can pick up people talking 2-3 tables away, or I'm just walking down the street and it's going to pick up other conversations. So that's the next risk. Is it's not only a risk to myself, but it's going to be a risk to the community that I happen to be in at the time when I'm using these devices.
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a great point. You're in a public setting. You just like you said, that real life example of something's being recorded, and somebody else could be recording our conversation, and we wouldn't have any idea about it. So really good to know. That the next part of that question that I wanted to ask to the three of you is about mitigating these risks in the future. There are cyber vendors like Callian. They can plan and mitigate those risks. And on the other side of that too, what role does AI play in this? Because we're hearing so much more about AI's capabilities. So I'd love to hear your insights on that. Noor, I'll go over to you first for that one.
Very good point, actually. AI algorithms can play both the good guy and the bad guy, right? Depending on who is using them. So if all this data automatically already being sent from the device to someone else, the business that created the device, or someone else who is trying to collect it, obviously all of those are using AI or have the capability of using AI to analyze this data. So I don't know if someone is recording the conversation right now we are having accidentally and or deliberately, the AI algorithm can make a guess in terms of maybe how many speakers are in this conversation, and are with our voices. Maybe they will say how many of us are second language English speakers and how many of us are first language. Maybe even we'll go further, the gender, are there females, are there males, and etc., etc. So at the same time, these give more information about maybe a business is doing the conversation and the other business competitor wants to analyze. I don't know, I'm being bad here. Or it could very well be that, like Kellyanne, the researchers, we are using these algorithms to actually detect if this type of malicious behaviors are happening. What are the fingerprints, footprints left, and if someone had a malicious intention, what could they use it for? So from that perspective, we are using AI to analyze this data and understand those, to detect and block and mitigate if we can, going into the future.
Excellent, excellent. Kevin, I'll turn that over to you now, talking about how vendors can plan and mitigate these risks, and to elaborate on what Noor has said about AI. I mean, I'm sure there's so much in terms of capabilities.
Yeah, and one of the things that AI will do, it's going to help increase the use of existing threats, right? So where at one point it was very challenging to create a cyber threat against an organization, a targeted threat, now with the world, with the connected world we're in today, AI can help assist weaker skilled programmers to start to learn. So we're going to see an increased attack vector from existing attacks that we've already seen, but that just means the attacker only needs to find is one hole into one network, or compromise somebody that's willing to leak out some information. So when you see a lot of times in movies where somebody's hacking into a network and it happens in 10 seconds as they're banging away on a keyboard, in the real world, it's months and months and months of data of data mining and research of all kinds of data. If I'm making an attack against an individual, I'm collecting a whole bunch of information. So that AI is going to help the bad person, or it may not be bad, could be just a salesperson trying to sell, but it's going to help them collect and parse through that information and find out what they're looking for. So from a protective standpoint, it gives us, now we have a better understanding that that's the massive threat risk we have out there. So now we need to find ways of mitigating that use of the data, right? So now we can go in and educate people that information's out there. The actual protection of it, that's layers and layers and layers and layers of security. There is no magic one device, one piece of technology that's going to protect us from that bit of information. And then it's the awareness that, some of my information is going to be out there. So we recommend people, if you've touched the internet, you got to run under the expectation that somebody has access to some of that information. But the big part of it from a protection side is it's just a layered, and there's multiple layers of methodology of protection. And we just need to find, start down a path. This is the first thing we need to get going. Just try something. You need to do something, and then the next, and then we can grow it out to build out a full protection plan for our clients or ourselves, in fact. Yeah.
Oh, I think that's great. It's a multifaceted, plan. It's not something that, can be pulled out just super quickly, but there's so many layers, as you said. It's really, really great to know. Let's continue on the idea of talking about the future. Like I said earlier, AI is just ingrained in everything that we're talking about these days, but there's more than that. So let's talk quantum. And for our viewers, in simplest terms, Kevin, could you define what quantum security is?
Again, it's a bit of an interpretation of that term as where we're going. So, I mean, just like cybersecurity, how I just talked about many layers of the technology. So quantum computing has many layers, but at a very high level, so quantum computing basically is telling us that we're using properties of quantum physics. Technical term, we're going to use these qubits, but anyway, it's going to allow computers to compute some tasks exponentially faster than they were traditionally using zeros and ones of current computing. So this is going to greatly increase the ability from a threat vector. So when we're talking about quantum security, we're talking about ways of protecting our devices against quantum computing. So increased encryption algorithms that have the ability to use quantum computers to so we can have a different set of algorithms. We're also looking at increased encryption entropy. So basically entropy is just random number creating. So as the one side of the factor, we can use quantum computing to create better encryption, better algorithms, better entropy. But what we're protecting against is the capability that quantum computing will bring when it's fully available to beat the current level of encryption much faster than we can today.
Perfect. And I think, is it kind of related to that question? Is it fair to say that quantum security will have a larger role to play? I think that's kind of what you're alluding to, Kevin, but maybe Noor, if you can expand on that a little bit on, just saying if quantum has that really large role in mitigating the risk, it may also, increase IoT gateways for intruders to exploit the data, right? So if the role is bigger, then the risks are bigger too. Is that fair to say, Noor? Would you think?
Yes, definitely. I think Kevin summarized it so well. So because there is two angles to it, right? Depending on who is using it. In our current systems, the encryption algorithms that we use to secure the data while it's moving or while we are storing it, are actually publicly available algorithms. There is nothing that no one knows about, about everything is known about these algorithms. What we are relying on, that trying to break them will take, tens of hundreds of years, specifically hundreds of years. That's what we are relying on. So that if I start now, I will still not finish by the time I pass away, kind of. But now fast forward to quantum computing, this is no longer possible with the current algorithms. So the work that Kevin describes in terms of new security algorithms will, of course, strengthen any attack that can happen from the quantum computing side. And as you say, given the high usage of IoT is exponentially increasing, this is obviously quantum security is going to help to secure all of these interactions. So we want to make sure we are the good guys. If we are the good guys, we are faster than the bad guys.
If we are the good guys, yes, I like
and
that.
I would like to believe we are the good guys.
Absolutely. Alexander, over to you on this. What are your thoughts on the role that quantum security has to play going forward?
Once again, as Kevin said, this is a two-way traffic. So quantum computing can be used to break existing algorithms, can be used to improve the encryption algorithms. So it depends on who's using. And it's very important to be, let's say, a little bit ahead of bad guys and to protect the information we want to protect.
Excellent. I love that two-way street analogy and kind of expanding on what Noor was saying too about, who's the good guys and who's the bad guys. We want to make sure that we're covering all of the bases here. Right. There's a lot to unpack about quantum and how it will impact us when IoT reaches 29 BN in 2030, right? So that's really important insights to have there. But going forward too, let's not forget about Calian and other organizations that focus on the future and on innovation. And Kevin, maybe you can tell us a little bit about what's on the horizon for Calian cybersecurity and the plans to expand research, investment, and collaboration with academia.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So and cybersecurity and technology in general, right? It's continually evolving industry. So you can't sit back and design something and sit back and just continue to learn that one thing. So you can never stop innovating and diversifying. So those are two words that are big inside of Calian right now. So we're really looking to help our own organization, and we're partnering with, again, universities, we're partnering with other technology partners, is to look for innovative technologies, help them develop and support the growth of some of these innovative technologies. And again, we've done with diversification, like we have to be involved because everything from healthcare to, autonomous driving vehicles to automation from, things like ChatGPT, where people are going to start using those kind of tools to write reports. but these all come with massive, especially when we're looking at data exhaust risks. So and a big part of my role is I'm going to look at new startup companies, looking for organizations that are, looking at the next ways of beating threats. So now we're really starting to grow our partnership with Dal University. We're expanding the number of students that we're working with at the university. We're going to start having some of the students doing internships within the various parts of Calian. So, and that's what that gives us as Calian. We're getting to see the latest educated students and what they can bring to us. And then we're helping them to see what's happening in industry right now in real time, that sometimes inside of a school, you don't get that access to that information, because it's really all about these partnerships, right? We really need to be working together, and not only with academia, our own competitors, other businesses that do what we do. Sometimes we're working together on the same project. Sometimes we're, competing on, but we really need to keep those technology companies partnered together with us. And it all helps to advance that, like the knowledge of the different technologies that are out there. So there's thousands of security companies out there. Some of them do something similar, some are doing different, but no one organization can understand and really create value out of thousands of organizations. So that's a lot of what we're doing now as Calian. There's a lot more collaboration between, again, academia, our other technology partners, and sometimes with other large organizations that we sometimes compete with, sometimes we're working together with.
Wonderful. I think that's a great reminder. This is everybody's fighting against the same bad guys at the end of the day, right? So collaboration is really important, and that knowledge sharing and knowledge transfer and continual learning is going to go a long way. Before we sign off, Alexander and Noor, any other final thoughts? Alexander, I'll go over to you first if there's anything else that you'd like to add that we didn't touch on about the importance of this project.
No, I don't think I can add something. I really hope that this project is important. I really hope this project will help Calian to mitigate all those risks, and we will try to work on it.
Perfect. Thank you. And Noor, any final thoughts or comments today?
I'm actually very happy to be working with Calian, and in this partnership, it creates a lot of opportunities, as Kevin said, for our students like Alexander to be able to work in real life situations with our partners. So the training of the new cybersecurity researchers became that much better with the opportunities this partnership gives us. And as a side effect of that, we all have a responsibility as academics to also have research that has impact, good impact for the society. And this research, I believe passionately, going back to the earlier part of our discussion, the way we try to aim to create awareness and knowledge about the risks out there. I'm very thankful Calian given us this opportunity to have this type of impact for our society. And I'm really looking forward to taking it to the next step.
Well, Alexander, Noor, and Kevin, thank you so much for sharing your insights with our audience today. And for those of you tuning in, please make sure to check out the link at the end of this video for more updates on this exciting research.